Okay. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened, but it just kicked me off. So I'm going to blame that not on my connection because it looks perfect here. I'm going to blame that on. I'm going to blame that on the gram. Earlier, I don't know if you know, but earlier the gram was having some technical issues, so I'm going to blame it on them. All right. Thank you all for joining me again. Pumpkin from Pluto. Nina, what's going on? Duchess, Jantown, thank you. Coco, thanks for joining me again. Appreciate that. I don't know what happened, but thanks for coming back. We appreciate that. So, I think maybe, IG was, hating on me and this nice little cozy group of us that are chatting. So anyway, but what were we talking about? I can't even remember now. See, lost the thread of it all. We were talking about, that workplace budding romance that went flat. But, the truth of the matter is that if it goes flat, have the conversation. And, if they are displaying that they are salty at the workplace, that's a whole other, that's another issue that you really need to address and be very serious about, that you are at the workplace and, you shouldn't be displaying that kind of behavior. So at the end of the day, what you want to do is, be very clear that, no one wants to jeopardize their employment based off of, a budding relationship that never really, got off the ground. Okay. So I hope I answered your question. And anyone else, if you have a question, please ask away. And if not, I will go to my bag. Okay. I see another question that came in. My work husband and I flirt a lot and have a lot of chemistry. We both have significant others. Do I need to dial it back, or can we keep it harmless? Well, here's the truth of the matter. You want me to be honest? You gotta dial it back. You gotta dial it back, because the reality is that you are cheating. You are cheating. You don't think you're cheating because you haven't you haven't done anything intimate, right? I'm assuming that you're talking about you haven't had sex. But, when you start talking about, flirting, you didn't say, you flirt, but you said you flirt a lot. Okay. And, that coupled with chemistry, well, you're messing with fire. You're messing with fire. You're just one move away. You're a couple inches away from igniting it and everything going kaboom. And it's going, and you're going to be like, you couldn't help it. What had happened was, and all this other stuff. But the reality is when you start talking about having chemistry and how you flirt a lot, well, it's only going to get to be more and more until it's unbearable. And then, even now as you're talking about it, you're typing it up, I can see the look on your face. You're beaming, you're whatever, and you don't necessarily, like my answer. But the reality is that you're already cheating. And it doesn't mean, I'm cheating, so I might as well go all the way. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're cheating in a way in terms of being very intimate with somebody and giving someone this energy that you really should be giving your significant other. You should find ways, if there are things about this person that you really like and enjoy, then perhaps you could, take some of that energy and try to create some of that energy at home. Now, if your significant other is just not in that space, well, you need to tell them to stop, wake up, 911. I'm starving. As I mentioned in a reminder last week. You don't want to starve your mate. So if you are starving to the point where you're at work, and this is where you're getting it from, go back to the source that's supposed to be providing it, and make them. I don't mean make them, but I mean make them. By way of how you communicate, and their job is to engage you, to entertain you, to light a fire not just under you but inside of you. So. Hopefully you can have some dialogue with them about that type of thing. And at the end of the day, by the way, when you say it's harmless, there's no word that's farther from the truth in terms of it being harmless. The reality is when you go home and then you're looking at your mate like, your work was all right. Yeah, it's cool. What you want to eat? All right. Even to the extent where you may just be disappointed just, walking in the door, or you're looking at them like they're 2-day-old tuna fish sandwich. I mean, that's the reality. It is very harmful. So, and when you start to think about the potential at home, at the office, that starts to take over, and before you know it, you're wishing you're at work, at 10 o'clock at night. Okay? Ms. Diamonds, thanks for joining us again. Pumpkin asked a question, is it too old-fashioned for you to want a man to open the door? No, not at all, not at all. Is chivalry dead? No. But it definitely is, needs to be resuscitated. So, no. I think at the end of the day, your job is to talk about what are your standards, period. And if you see that at the end of the day, they're not meeting the standard, well, then you have to make a decision early. So remember, that level of chivalry you're talking about, in the early stages of your dating. So hopefully you're not in your feelings and feeling too bad about the fact that this person is not a person that, that you're going to gel with, because, well, they're not doing some of the small things that really lead to big things in terms of level of importance with you. All right? Wonderfully Made, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Levant, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Pumpkin from Pluto asked the question, is it okay for you not to choose a man based on these standards? Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine for you, for you not to choose a guy on those standards. I mean, at the end of the day, if a guy won't open doors for you and you cut him, I don't really see that being an issue unless he doesn't have arms. No disrespect, but you get what I'm saying, right? Unless he's physically unable to do it, no, I don't think that's an issue at all. If that's something that's important to you, then you should state it, and, this is what you're looking for. Obviously, that's just a sign of all the other things you're expecting that he would do as a chivalrous gentleman, right? Mike, thanks for joining us again. I appreciate that. We had some technical difficulties, not sure what happened, but I'm going to blame it on the gram. Anyway, so, see, Lydia, you said, as a follow-up, should you communicate the expectation to him? Absolutely. You should follow up and be very clear about what your expectations are, period. The number one thing that typically, impacts, us in the dating arena when we're in that arena is that we don't, we typically are victims of lack of clarity. Lack of clarity in terms of, what our expectations are. And we don't have those conversations. We don't have those, the courageous conversations, if you will, to talk about, what our real standards are, period. And what typically happens is after the honeymoon period, you wonder why you guys are at such odds, because there's so much that you should have talked about and so many things that you let go of that was really important to you that you should have talked about earlier. So there's nothing wrong with following up and talking about what your standards are. There's nothing wrong at all about pointing out something that you're not necessarily happy with early, or something that's an expectation that you're not getting. Do that early, sow those seeds. Don't let those things build up and then, blow up at some point. And it's usually, at a time when you've already been together for, 6, 8, 9 months or something to that effect. All right? All right. I am Keish. What's going on? Thanks for joining us. When we were talking about in terms of standards, right? Meeting standards. Remember also that when you talk about your standards, don't do it in a way that you're a judge. Meaning, don't look at them like it's it's the last part of a scene from Shark Tank, and say, you know what, you didn't open the door for me, and for that I'm out. You don't do that. I would say that you talk up front about what your standards are. What kind of person you're looking for, and what are the things that are important to you. And it's not to program them. It's, again, to just talk about what are your priorities and what's important to you. And we without clear communication, we're all just guessing. And to that extent, that's just not a fair situation for for you to expect someone to be able to read your mind. Because while we may think, well, everyone should be, should have these standards, the reality is that's not the case. We all have backstories, and those things tend to shape how we move forward. Coco, connection really bad. Sorry about that. These are some good questions and answers, but only hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying. I'm going to see what I can do about that, because, on my end, all my bars are up and everything looks good. So perhaps it's a connection on your part, but as far as where I'm at, everything seems to be moving right along. Picture's clear. There's no blinking or any shifts of the bar. So I apologize for any inconvenience, and we'll do our best, going forward again to just make sure that wherever I'm at, that we have a good connection. Okay. Lydia, you're saying I'm hearing the feed clearly, and is anyone else experiencing bad connection? Okay, thank you for chiming in. No issues from Pumpkin, and no issues from Jam Down. I appreciate that. And Coco, as Lydia mentioned, be sure to catch the replay, so that hopefully during the replay, there are no disruptions, if you will, and you can hear every question and answer very clearly. Okay. So we got 10 minutes. All right. Thank you very much. Producer on site, letting me know not to go over the limit, even though I think with me being disconnected, I might have some extra time, but I'm not going to do that. All right. I just want to, I want to make sure that we are good stewards of the time. Any other questions, though? You all asked some really great questions, by the way. I appreciate that. I know that I had Mike there. You got any questions? Mike Moss, Mike Taylor, I think LeVon was there. Any questions from the guys? Any input is great as well. It's we want to make sure we have equal representation, obviously, when it comes to this stuff. But if not, I will ask maybe one more question or pull one of these questions out. You guys got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this question. Your phone sucks, Coco. Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, it's your phone. I don't even want to know what model it is, and I'm not gonna put you on blast. But you did that. I'm just gonna go ahead and agree with you on that. I'm just messing with you. How do you do a better job of self-analyzing your relationship? You have to take inventory of, first of all, what's important to you. Second thing you need to do is also take inventory of what's important to your mate, and what are you doing about that? Meaning, how do you demonstrate your level of mastery when it comes to, participating in your relationship? What are the things that you guys do? Take an analysis of what's a typical week look like. Do you have a quality time day? Do you have a date night? Do you often talk about how your day went? Are you together in terms of, do you live together or separate? How much time do you actually invest in one another in terms of getting to know one another? How long you've been together? How often do you argue? What do you argue about? How do you resolve your arguments? These are all, good questions, are you building together? Has there been some trust issues? These are all types of questions. But what I will also suggest is that you do a relationship checkup. Relationship checkups are when you see a third party. You see a professional, you see a coach like myself, or and you get in front of that person and you just talk about it. The reality is that we have relationships that are on that are almost flatlining because there's been no maintenance. And, we tend to go to a doctor, obviously, right, for a checkup. Our cars, they get checked up. They get an oil change and things of that nature. Houses, they get maintained and cleaned and things of that nature. So, what happens with your relationship? It's not enough to, just ride it till it breaks down. You need to check it, give it a checkup and make sure that you're in a good place. Because things happen, all right? I'm Trucker. What's going on? Thanks for joining us. I see a question from Pumpkin from Pluto. If you have been seeing someone for quite some time and they have never supported any of your events or the things that you do, what is the best way to address that? Well, obviously you're going to be in your feelings about that. When it comes to the fact that this person is not supporting you. But it's important also that you kind of, when you're communicating it, you're communicating in a way that you're not, like angry and just pissed off, basically, but, that you're actually coming from a place of concern. And this is important because at the end of the day, people respond often to, anger with more anger. They turn into, it becomes a very defensive thing. And your goal is really to understand why. Obviously, you've been with this person for a long time, and they're not supporting your passion or these events or things that you're doing. Clearly, you have a deeper relationship than what this particular event may be about. So there may be other areas. Obviously, this person is supportive, but not necessarily in this one particular area as it relates to the event. So you need to talk about how this is important to you and why they don't see the importance in supporting something that's important to you, supporting your passion or something you think that actually contributes to what your overall purpose is. And you may be surprised to find out what the response is. However, it's up to you to really make that decision as to whether or not that's something that you can continue to work through. Because sometimes it creates a situation where, obviously because of other people that may have, similar interests, often, you start to pay them attention and respond to the energy that they're giving you. So talk about it. Be clear about, this being an area of concern of yours, and make them accountable. All right. So Trek has joined us. Calm before the storm. What's going on? Malika's Kitchen. What's going on? Thanks for joining us. You caught us at the tail end of it. If you have any questions related to relationships, you can ask it right away. I got room for maybe one more question. If there's one more question, I'll go ahead and answer that, and then I'll let you guys go for this week's edition of Wednesdays with Wes. But I need you guys to ask the question inside of 5 seconds. So I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'll go ahead and pull out one of these questions, and this will be the final one for calm before the storm. Okay. My friend has been dating a man for 3 months. She knows this is a relationship. How does she open up conversation for DTR? What's DTR? I'm sorry. Please tell me what DTR means. Please. Anybody know? I don't know in this context. My friend has been dating a man for 3 months. Defining their relationship? Okay, so she knows this is a relationship. How does she open up conversation for defining the relationship? So defining the relationship starts with, a conversation, open-ended questions. Sometimes when we feel a certain kind of way, we start with, well, I want to be in a relationship, or I want, X, Y, and Z, versus taking some inventory about, in terms of where someone else is. I think this is very important because what tends to happen is when we ask a question, it opens up a dialogue. When we direct something in terms of this is where I'm at and we're saying a statement, well, someone now is forced with the situation of having to, turn around and either defend their position or say what they need to say in order to, avoid any type of rejection. So asking a person what are their thoughts, about the past several months and where things are going, that's important. The other part, of course, is should you get some kind of consensus as to moving forward and wanting to be in that relationship. Now I'm starting to talk about, let's talk about what, dating looks like, monogamous dating. What does monogamy mean to you and them, And while you may think these are silly questions, the reality is it's not. People have different definitions. People think that it's okay to flirt, on social media. Other people don't, think it's okay, to like pictures and do a whole bunch of stuff. So having some of those conversations are very important in order to, feel comfortable and avoid a lot of, arguments in the future. So listen, everyone, I see 1 minute and I see Pumpkin ask the question, how should it be before you talk about love languages? So we could talk about that next time. I'll hit you up in the DM and I'll tell you some more about it, only because we just hit the 10 o'clock hour. And, I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. But I will get back to you on that question, Pumpkin. And everyone else, thanks again. Do me a favor, please, and forward this Wednesday with Wes to someone that doesn't know already. And I would like this to grow every week, all right? Don't worry about it. No need to say sorry for joining late. I'm pretty sure you'll catch me next time. Wednesdays with Wes, 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. Please tell a friend. Do me a favor and just share it with someone, okay? I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the this past hour, and we look forward to tightening up the little technical glitch. But I'm pretty sure that you guys were able, the majority of you were able to hear me clearly. But it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you all next week at the next episode, the next edition of Wednesdays with Wes. Until then, all right.